6 megatons. That was the official prediction from Los Alamos for the largest device America had ever built. The design's own stated maximum, 8. On the morning of March 1st, 1954, the device delivered 15. This is what happens when the error bar is 9 megatons wide. The test was Castle Bravo at Bikini Atoll in the Marshall Islands. The device inside the shot cab was codenamed Shrimp. Shrimp was 4.6 meters long and weighed 10,659 kilograms, about one city bus. Shrimp had siblings. The other Operation Castle devices were named Runt, Morgenstern, Alarm Clock, Runt 2, and Zombie. These are the real, declassified names. Bravo mattered because it was dry. Earlier hydrogen devices burned cryogenic liquid fuel, a bomb attached to its own refrigeration plant. Bravo ran on solid lithium deuteride, the first solid fuel Teller-Ulam device ever fired. Solid fuel is how a hydrogen bomb becomes a thing an aircraft can carry. 6:45 in the morning, March 1st, 1954. Bravo fired from an artificial island built on the reef 900 meters off Nam Island. That island no longer exists. The bomb removed it. 1 second after detonation, the fireball was 7.2 kilometers across. A 90-minute walk, crossed in 1 second. It was visible from Kwajalein, 400 kilometers away. In about 1 minute, the cloud reached 14 kilometers high. In under 10, it stood 40 kilometers tall and 100 kilometers wide, still spreading at 160 meters per second. An airliner cruises at about 11 kilometers. The cloud punched clean through the stratosphere. The firing crew was in a concrete bunker on Nu Island, inside the same atoll. The reading above the bunker, 25 roentgens per hour. They stayed inside for several hours, until it decayed. The crater, 2,000 meters across, 76 meters deep. 20 American football fields, laid end to end, would fit across it. It is still there, visible from orbit. So how do the best physicists on Earth miss by a factor of 2.5? The answer has a name, lithium-7. The fuel was lithium deuteride, nominally 40% lithium-6. Lithium-6 was the working fuel. Hit it with a neutron, and it makes tritium, exactly as designed. The other 60% was lithium-7, which the designers assumed was inert. Zero yield for most of the lithium in the bomb. That was the budget. Above a neutron energy of 2.47 mega-electron volts, lithium-7 is not inert. It breaks into an alpha particle, a tritium nucleus, and one more neutron. The couch isotope produced extra fusion fuel and handed the neutron straight back. The extra tritium fused with deuterium, releasing another neutron. More neutrons meant more fission in the natural uranium tamper wrapped around the whole device. The error didn't add once. It compounded, 3 steps deep. 10 of the 15 megatons came from fast fission of that tamper. 2/3 of the explosion was fission, which is why the fallout was so severe. It made Bravo one of the dirtiest devices ever fired. The internet's version of this story says Los Alamos forgot the reaction existed. Historian Alex Wellerstein reads the record differently. They knew of it, judged that lithium-7 would not ignite well, and bet the design on that. Not a blank spot, a wrong bet. Put the miss in context. The unplanned part of Bravo alone was 9 megatons. That accident out-yielded the entire Union shot of the same series. 6.9 megatons delivered on purpose. Remember the design maximum? 8. The mistake was bigger than the bomb was supposed to be. The yield was only half the disaster. The pre-shot weather briefing already predicted winds carrying fallout east, toward Rongelap and Rongerik. The planners fired anyway, assuming 12 to 15 hours of travel time would keep it off the atolls. What went up was the island itself. Coral, sand, and seawater, drawn through the fireball and made radioactive. It came back down as a fine white powder, along a plume more than 450 kilometers long. Over 18,000 square kilometers of ocean were contaminated, roughly the area of Kuwait. 15 islands and atolls sat inside the plume. Fallout reached Rongelap about 5 hours after the detonation. Nobody there knew what the powder was. Children played in it as if it were snow. Some of them ate it. Rongelap was evacuated on March 3rd, 2 days after the shot. By then, many of the 86 residents already had beta burns and early radiation sickness. By 1963, 20 of the 29 exposed Rongelap children had developed thyroid tumors. The United States opened a study of the exposed, Project 4.1. Staff were instructed to be particularly careful not to discuss its purpose. 130 kilometers east of Bikini was a wooden tuna boat, the Daigo Fukuri's Maru. Lucky Dragon No. 5, 23 crew. The declared danger area covered 57,000 square miles of ocean. The Lucky Dragon was 14 miles outside it. The ash arrived anyway, about 90 minutes after the flash. The crew called it Shinohei, death ash. The chief radio man, Kuboyama Aikichi, died that September, the first fatality of a hydrogen bomb. The chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission told the press the Lucky Dragon had been well within the danger area. It had not. The boat itself still exists. The whole hull, preserved indoors in a Tokyo museum. Contaminated tuna set off a national food panic in Japan. And 8 months after Bravo, a film opened in Japan. Ships at sea, destroyed by a blinding flash of light. Godzilla's opening scene is the Lucky Dragon incident. The producer said the theme, from the beginning, was the terror of the bomb. It sold 9.69 million tickets. Now the numbers. Hiroshima, about 15 kilotons. Bravo, 15 megatons. Same digits. The multiplier is almost exactly 1,000. The usual estimate for all the explosives used by every side in all of World War II is about 3 megatons. Bravo was 5 of those. One device, one morning before breakfast. Bravo is still the largest device the United States has ever detonated. 6th largest in history. In 1958, Eisenhower set an unwritten rule. No American test would ever exceed it. Kennedy kept that rule, even after the Soviets fired the 50-megaton Tsar Bomba. The accident became the ceiling. Shrimp grew up. It entered service as the Mark 21. 275 bombs built between December 1955 and July 1956, carried by the B-36 and B-47. Conversions began in 1957. Retirement came by 1962. The whole line lasted about 7 years. The hardware was temporary. The United States paid Japan $15.3 million in settlement. Surviving crew members got about 2 million yen each, roughly $5,550. The Marshall Islands Claims Tribunal later awarded over $2 billion. About $270 million was actually distributed. By the mid-2010s, roughly half the valid claimants had died waiting. In 2017 and 2018, Columbia University researchers pulled 129 sediment cores from the crater floor. Average plutonium-239 and 240, 56 picocuries per gram, an order of magnitude above the lagoon sediment nearby. 65 years on, the hole is still the hottest thing in the lagoon. Bikini took 23 nuclear tests between 1946 and 1958, 77 megatons combined. Bravo was 15 of the 77. Its people were moved out in 1946, brought back around 1972, and evacuated again in 1978, when the cesium-137 in their bodies proved dangerous. Today, the coconut crabs are still too radioactive to eat. In 2010, UNESCO listed the atoll as a World Heritage Site, citing its paradoxical image of peace and of earthly paradise. 5,400 Bikinians and their descendants are alive today. 800 live on Kili. Almost none live on Bikini. A 1998 international advisory said the island should not be permanently resettled. A 2012 assessment found conditions improving. So one question from the morning of March 1st, 1954, is still open. When do they get to go home? Nobody has ever set the date.